I still remember like the back in the days that the cameras had no LCD screen. Like that we don't know what we are gonna get after shooting it. Because we can see a lot of dials here like aperture value, shutter speed. We don't know what we are doing it back in the day. But the back in the day we had the automatic aperture priority, shutter priority cameras and stuff that we shoot. We get the result only after maybe a couple of weeks. That we see, oh, this photo looks really nice. So for me, it's kind of a process.
Hello and welcome to episode 61 of the Photo Country podcast, where we talk to inspiring photographers from around the world. In this episode, we talk to Vasuchandran, aka Snapthrash. He is the lead vocalist in a heavy metal band, apart from being a Forex trader and a film photographer. I stumbled upon his profile on Instagram, where he was talking about his craft in his native language of Malayalam. His photography is filled with scenes of his travel across the world with his band, which I found quite interesting. So without further ado, here is Vasuchandran aka Snapthrash. So just to start with, why don't you give us a profile as to who you are and what you do?
So my name is Vasu, and I'm a heavy metal musician. And I do, as a profession, I do Forex trading. And my photography is kind of my hobby. That's it. I've been doing for a couple of many years now.
So how did you get started? What was your journey as a musician? Were you like trained as a musician?
Yeah, I was a classical vocalist. I trained it for almost 10, 12 years. When I was when I was a kid, I trained it for almost 10 years. So that was in my school days, and I did a lot of classical shows and stuff. Then I took a small break after my schools and stuff, and I started listening to a different kind of genre. That's heavy metal rock kind of thing. And during my college time, I just started a band. It's called Amorphia. So it was like a sudden switch from Indian classical music to the heavy side of music.
So how did that switch happen? I mean, from a deep traditional classical music upbringing, total like a 360-degree switch.
The thing is, I love all kind of music. There is no difference between this is good music and this is not. It's all good. So I used to do. I used to listen to a lot of back in the day, like the mid 90s, early 2000 stuff. So I started listening to 80s hard rock, heavy metal, ballad rocks kind of music. So it's like a slow process for me. And I had a lot of friends who used to listen to this kind of music. So during the college time, we thought like, okay, let's start a band. Like I do vocals and I used to play guitar at that time. So I thought, yeah, why not? We can give a shot. And it happened. It happened.
So which part of India are you from? Like what kind of music was it?
Yeah, I'm from the southern side of India. It's Kerala, and I'm from a city called Alabura. It's a backwaters kind of a place.
Kerala has produced and still producing a rich tradition of musicians. Plus, you also have rock as well from Abiel to
Yeah.
Agam. There's so many musicians I know coming from Kerala. But who are your influences?
You mean the influences from Kerala?
Yeah, generally, what prompted you from switching over from Tyagaraja Kirtanais to to ACDC?
Yeah, the thing is, I used to listen to a lot of German classics like bands like Scorpions, that kind of bands from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So I was more into that kind of melodic ballad rocks like Scorpions, maybe Whitesnake, that kind of bands. So if I talk about the Indian scene or the Kerala bands, there was a band called it's band is still there, a band called Mother Jane. Yeah, I used to listen to the albums from the early 2000s and stuff. So their guitar player, he influenced me a lot to play guitar. Like there's a violent guitar actions and stuff that we call something called a whammy, used for making weird noises from the guitar. And there's a band called Pantera. So I'm not huge fan of that band, but the guitar player of the band, Dimebag Darrell. So these two guys are my one of the main influences.
Interesting. So you have like really like a eclectic background, like from Carnatic music to rock to film photography to Forex trading, like you've not left out anything.
Part of the
Exactly.
game.
Yeah. So, and how did film photography happen?
Yeah, I started film photography back in early 2000s. Like my father, he was not a professional photographer. He was a college principal, but he, whenever he get free time or vacation time or something like that, he get a different kind of DSLR cameras, a point and shoot different kind of thing. And he used to experiment with a lot of film stock and stuff back in the day. So I remember he brings a lot of film negatives, and I was little curious about what he was gonna do. And he used to show me like we need to. I'm not talking about the technical term and stuff, but he used to show me this is the camera, this is how we wind the films, and he used to show me all the angles. Like it's not about the composition and stuff. He used to show me this is an angle that we can go here, look through the viewfinder, and you can see the mountains in this way. And if we go this side, we can see the different aspect. So that's how I started. So I started shooting film with the point and shoot cameras back in the day, like early 2000, 2001, 2 at that time. And after schools and time, the digital era started back in 2006, 7. I totally lost all the connection with the photography, and I was into my music journey and the studies. Then digital photography, there is nothing wrong with digital photography, but for me, I'm still that from that era who still love that kind of photography. It's a long process compared to digital photography, but I also do digital, but for as a process, complete process, I still believe there is some value for analog photography.
Your music and your photography, is there a connection? Does your photography feed off your music?
Yeah, there is a small connection between. I told you I'm a heavy metal musician that I travel around. We play in Japan, Europe, Middle East countries, Asian countries, and I travel a lot. So we can see a lot of new landscapes and the new culture and everything. We can capture that with some kind of video or photography or kind of a thing. I thought that would be really interesting. So I thought it would be great if we capture all the things with a film, and we can see the results after a couple of months.
And there's a huge interest in film photography, especially with the young Gen Z. They have taken up film photography in a big way. There's a big resurgence in film photography, especially the Instax camera. Is a huge in terms of interest and popularity for these kind of devices. Why do you think that's happening?
I don't know, maybe all vintage cameras are really cheap to buy now. So I think they are doing the college and schools, and they don't have that much of money to buy a proper digital gear. There is a trend of being aesthetic kind of things. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that, but I have seen people taking photos on film. It's total blurry, total nonsense photos, and they're saying, "Oh, this is the aesthetics of film grains." Well,
Right? But what do you see in your view? Like, what's the difference? What drew you to film and not so much digital?
for me, I still remember like the back in the days that the cameras had no LCD screen. Like that we don't know what we are gonna get after shooting it. Because we can see a lot of dials here like aperture value, shutter speed. We don't know what we are doing it back in the day. But back in the day, we had the automatic aperture priority, shutter priority cameras and stuff that we shoot. We get the result only after maybe a couple of weeks. That we see, oh, this photo looks really nice. So for me, it's kind of a process. It's actually slows me down to learn what is photography, what's the relation between the light and the aperture ring, and how the ISO affects the photos, and how the opening of the lens and all affects that. So for digital, we are just shooting it and we are seeing the defects or all the problems on the photos, and that we are keep doing it, and we try to make it perfect at that moment. So I feel like there is some extra value for film photography that we are taking, and if you are taking some kind of bad framing or an exposure, wrong exposure kind of a thing, that we get the result only after a couple of weeks, and we are seeing and we are going to learn more about it. Okay, this is the lighting condition, and that we have to adjust the shutter according to it. So it's for me, it's a kind of a process of learning the relation between the light and the lenses.
In terms of your inspiration as far as photography is concerned, who would you say your favorite photographer is?
I would say like my father.
Okay,
Yeah,
good one.
because I'm not a photography person. I mean, I like seeing through the viewfinder and clicking it. But apart from that, I don't have any photography background or the cinema background or something like that. I just love clicking the photos and the frame is good. That's it. That's for me. And I have many photographer friends here and there. I keep asking them their opinions about what you think about this photo and what all the things that I can work on and improve. So I have a friend, his name is Abhijit. He's shooting for almost 2 decades now. So I keep asking him, like, I have many other photographer friends, but he's one of the closest ones that which I can ask any doubt. If even if I ask some really stupid questions, he'll just listen it and give me a proper answer. So also there is a YouTuber called Steve Onions. So I really love clicking landscape photography and landscape with composing some elements, adding something to it. So even I started talking to him. So I sent him photos and I asked for the recommendations or the suggestions for that.
You're not like you don't have a trained background, etc.
Yes.
It's what you feel is what you take. But what's your process like? Do you wait for people to come into your frame, or is it capturing the moment, or waiting for the composition to happen?
Yeah, I'm more into a kind of a composition guy. Yeah, I will just compose my frame, and I will just wait for someone to or some moment to happen in the frame. Yeah, that's it's a both. I don't, which I am not into that kind of a capture the moment person, because I want the beauty of if something interesting happening and with the frame should be composed well. So I believe I'm kind of composition plus the capturing the moment guy.
Okay. So I was just going through your feed, and a few of the photographs that is caught my eye was the one that you took of the neon signboard of Deccan Herald. That I think I really like, because some of those kind of images of the night, the street stalls and shops out of London, those signboards really attract me. So it's really attracted me. It's really cool. And I think there were some images of Kochi, I think, people in the beach. It's a black and white photograph. So people playing in the water, with stone, there's a stone poles inside the water, and you're framing them in between them, right? So I liked that part of your photography, the way you used environmental elements to frame people. And then also your travel photography around Japan, Bangkok, those also really captured my attention. Do you go to these places? Is it part of your travel, or is it like, do you have a bucket list and you go and say, I need to go to all these locations?
All the photos which you mentioned now, but so I just go there and just see what's happening there. And if I see something interesting, I'll just click, that's it. But these days I have some bucket list kind of a thing that I really think that I need that shot at that time. So yesterday morning, I went to one hill place to get some kind of misty into the woods, that kind of photos. And I clicked a couple of shots and my shutter got stuck. So I think I have to go there again with a different film stock. I mean, the same different role. So yeah, I started doing that also.
So talking about stock, of course, in digital, you have your ISO, and you give the effect after you take the photographs. But the beauty of a film is it really depends on the kind of film that you use, the stock that you use. How do you make that decision? What stock to use when?
I've shot many different varieties of film stocks. I usually back in early 2000, I think I have shot only two film stocks. That was Kodak Ultra Max and the Kodak Gold. It's like 400 and 200 ISO films. It's which we can take any like in the daytime or the evening time or whatever it is, we can take, and it gives really, it gives a really good result. But I have shot many other slide films, the color, negative, black and white, but all the color positive films, slide films, it reacts totally differently to the light. So if I want a kind of calm, low light, that kind of situation, I would choose the Kodak Ultramax 400, that kind of film stock. But if it's really bright situation, I won't choose the slide films. I shot one shot, and that was one of my favorites. Still, it's on my wall here. So I showed that frame in Austria a couple of months ago. So there was a a cottage plus a frame. It was framed with a kind of roses garden kind of a thing. So that was my first time shooting Kodak's Ektachrome. It's like positive, side positive slide film. So I metered the shadows and the entire whites and highlights. So I metered the way that I used to meter the color negative films, the black and white films, and I read in a different opposite way. So for me, I'm more into black and white photography. That way, it gives much latitude. That it compromises a lot. Comes to the slide films. Couple of days back, I got one film stock called Harman Red. It's a red scale film. So we have to find that kind of landscapes or sea, which gives only certain lights places. So that's how I choose my film stocks.
Okay, interesting. But how do you meter the shadows? Do you use a light meter or is it through the camera? Like, how do you do that?
Actually, I don't have a light meter, but I use the camera plus there is something called Sunny 16 rule. I know, the lighting situation, this situation. We have a idea about which shutter should I use. And I have an app called Light Meter. So I combine all three together and I will take a decision. Okay, this is gonna shutter that I'm the aperture that I'm gonna set for this scene.
And what kind of camera do you use? Is it like, I'm sure it's a vintage camera that you use?
Vintage camera. Yeah. I have one camera from the 1960s. It's called Yashica's Electro 35. It's from the 65, 67 at that time. It's an aperture priority camera. So I take that camera only for the street photography kind of a thing. It's a kind of a detail. You don't get the lens through metering. So if you are shooting a bright situation from a dark shade or something like that, the camera will meter only the darkest side and the image will come out overexposed or under. It won't meter it precisely. So I use that for street photography, and I use my Canon A1. It's from the 80s for the landscapes.
It must be quite challenging because everything is manual and you have to make the decision.
Exactly.
The camera doesn't make any decision, right? 100% you have to take everything, right? Decide everything. So that's quite phenomenal and mind blowing, I think. Was it challenging to get, like, when you were learning?
Yeah, but seriously, I don't have that much of really bad blown out photographs and stuff. But I don't know how it happened, but maybe have shot back in the days like then I've got pretty good results. I was in Alapi with my parents, and my mom, she was like, "Yeah, see, these all are your old photographs which you took it back in the early 2000s with a lot of negatives and a lot of albums." So I was just going through all the photos and which all came pretty nice.
But how do you develop the negatives? Do you process them yourself or you give it to a lab?
I sent it to labs because the main reason is we have a lot of film labs here in India, but I am kind of if I shoot film, I need the quality. So which I mentioned, like I'm not that a kind of a person who shoot film and say, oh, see the grains, let's just see the blurry photos. But if I'm shooting photos, I need quality. I need the detail outside for a proper scans. Like we have a lot of really good places here in Bangalore also. There is a place called the Film Photo Store. It's one of the OG places here in Bangalore that they have all the analog equipments and darkroom kind of places. So, but it's really expensive here in India now. And each frame is money.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Every time you clip, that's
Yeah.
so much dollars going down, your bank account going down. Right. Okay. But do you have any instructions like I want to develop it in such a certain manner? It's
Yeah, but most of the times I shoot a film in box speed. That means a real ISO of the film stock. But if I have some particular film stock in 400 ISO, which I want to shoot that in 800 ISO in the night dark situations, I shoot it in 800 or 1200. And it's kind of, I'm tricking the camera. I'm telling the camera, I have this lighting condition here at the situation. So you have to meter the light according to my ISO setting. So camera meters, and it's actually, if I'm shooting the 400 ISO in 800, it's actually underexposing the scene. And when I send it to the lab, I just tell them I shot it in 800. It's actually in 400 ISO. So we have to do one or two stop pushing. So which gives much more time for the developing. So it will come little more contrasty, punchy image. Yeah, that we can trick the camera that way.
wow, amazing. That's fascinating to hear because I shoot with vintage lenses. The reason I shoot with a lot of manual lenses, number one, manual lenses are cheap. The second thing is it forces you to slow down because you can't shoot like a machine gun. You have to lock focus and manually you need to figure that one out. We live in a world where everything is instant gratification, like you want it immediately. It's just the bang opposite of that. You don't know what you're going to get until you develop it. So that's the other thing that I like about film photography. Now, just want to segue and go to your feed. The way you popped up on my feed is that I saw this long-haired guy speaking in Malayalam talking about film photography. So that was like really interesting, and that's sort of piqued my interest. When did you start this, and what's the feedback been? Okay,
I always thought like I used to take photos and keep it in the phone and check, but I had no plans to post it on social media. But I always thought what others will think of me, like if I do and post something like that. A couple of years back, 2 years back, my first Europe tour happened in 2023. So I had a lot of really good photos on my phone and computer. So I thought I'll just start a social media page, Instagram page, and start posting it over there. Then many months passed. Nobody was there. I'm pretty sure people are seeing it, but they're like, "Oh, what this guy is doing it here, posting photos, showing off stuff." And also, I was keep posting it for the past 2 years, and I was posting small short videos as well there. But a couple of, I think, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I thought, okay, I will just make some videos with my own face and I will talk and explain about it. People are there. Just let them think whatever they want. I thought I'll just start making the videos, and I got appreciation and comments from here and there. And I started, I have a lot of good connections with some really fine art. Even you, I got, after posting it on social media. So that's how it happened.
and is it like I've seen that your number of followers is also sort of suddenly it's gone up from I think it was around 1,000, now it's like doubled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think before posting the reels, it was just only 400.
Yeah,
Now it's around 2000. It's more than that. It's slowly picking up.
and that's because of your reels that you're posting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how are people reacting to it? Because normally people do it in English, but the difference is you're doing it in your own mother tongue. How is it reaching? Like, is it your fellow Malayalis who are reacting, or are you getting reactions from all across the world?
See, I'm getting reactions from many places, not just Malayalis.
Okay.
But when I talk about the only film photography, I don't see any kind of YouTubers or creators that makes only, especially exclusively about film. So I thought, okay, let's see what we get if I start making just exclusively about the films. So it's actually working out now.
Okay. And are you able to sell your prints?
Yeah. I shot a frame in Japan. It was last January. It was on the street photography camera, aperture periodic camera. I shot a pagoda frame, and I shot that in an f8 aperture because it's really sharp image that I can see all the detailed shadows and all the highlights. Everything is completely balanced. So I thought I'll just make a print of that. And I was just going through many other printers, and I got different prints from each places. And finally, I got into the fine art printing, the top thing of printing. So I was just comparing the prints with the normal laser versus the fine art, the proper way. So I could see all the minute details, like each grain and everything, shadows, everything was crisp and clear. So I got all the prints, like the same exact photo with different prints, different printers, different purpose, different inks and everything. And I just listed the thing on the Facebook marketplace. It's happened like a month ago. So I sold around 36 copies of that particular photo.
No, interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yes, even I have some other, we have a platform called Instamojo. That's a platform that we use to sell my band CDs and t-shirts. So I made an online store there as well, and I listed all the prints over there. So I got some prints sales from there, and there is one site called Etsy. I use that for the international orders, which I sold around 10, 12 copies over there.
Okay, so what next in your career? How do you see yourself growing? Because your photography is taking off. It's seeing a lot of traction online. You're selling prints and your followers are growing. So obviously you are developing an online presence. But you also have your music side of your artistic life as well. How do you see yourself balancing both?
I think I'll just go with the flow. Like my most priority is my band and my music. So I got all the opportunities only because of my band and the music which I'm doing right now. It's not even the old classical music. I got the chance to travel around only because of my band. So that's the first priority. So I'll just keep doing it, and whatever happens for the future, let's see. And I just go with the flow. I don't have any plans for the future.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on Photo Country. I think you're one of the most unusual, different guests that I've had so far. So it's a very unusual background and it's super interesting to see someone like you really flourish. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Right. Thanks a lot for inviting me to your show. It means a lot. Like, this is the first time that I'm talking to and doing that kind of a podcast kind of a thing.
Right.
So it was a great experience for me as well. Right. Talking to someone who is really into this kind of photography. So thanks a lot.
That was Vasuchandran. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did bringing it to you. So what did you take away from this episode, and do you have any recommendations for future guests on the show? Do let me know. Catch you on the next episode of Photo Country. Till then, stay safe and keep clicking. And as always, thank you for listening.